Hasan slap.
Nepo like me, man.
It's in Nepo Music's Instagram reel.
Hasan, what's up? My name's Nepo.
I'm just chilling.
Yeah, brother. How much does your
Oh, he's pretending to like music again.
daddy earn?
How much does my daddy earn? I don't think he earns anything right now. He was a college professor.
Are you listening to music?
No, I don't listen to any music.
This is my song. It's called Who's Your Daddy?
Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy?
You like it?
No. I feel like this is gonna keep my cold streak of not listening to music at least for another year.
I just thought you'd relate to the message. You're a like me, man.
Yeah. I would never put something out like that though. You want me to do a negative endorsement for you?
Yeah, please.
Okay. What was it? What was your name?
Nepo.
Yeah, fuck Nepo. Don't listen to his music.
Epic.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Again, ironically enough, there are a lot of liberals. Ironically enough, there are a lot of liberals on the timeline who yesterday were saying Abdul Al-Sayed is bad because he hangs out with Hasan. Graham Platner is good because he doesn't hang out with Hasan. And there's truth to that. I have no connection to the Platner campaign. I have no idea.
Oh, shit. Platner's gone. Platner's gone. Oh, shit. Platner's mega gone. Platner is ultra gone. Oh, no.
Yeah, what they're up to. I have no understanding of what has taken place thus far. So the liberals might have actually unironically locked themselves into a weird bind.
These fucking cucks. I'm sorry, hold on. I'm trying to think. It's one thing people don't do is they don't look for disconfirming evidence. So you always try to find disconfirming evidence. I have my whole fucking mind prison for my media funnel bullshit. I'm like, okay, hold on. Well, the way that I see the media is the MAGA people know how to do media and the tanky people know how to do media. So they can always spin any story. It doesn't really fucking matter. That, you know, it seems like they're untouchable, right? But now Platner, seems like there's a story that's coming out that's going to wreck him. But then how do I make that work with my media thing understanding? You know, I think the easiest way to look at it is maybe obviously, there are going to be some stories that are just so big you just can't get away from, obviously, right? Child rape in Iraq might be one of those. However, another thing, and I hope to fucking God that this isn't the pattern that's going to play out. Another thing is when they have to bump into a media empire that can play the same games they do, they tuck tail and run immediately, right? Because Platner is not fighting against the libs anymore. Now he has to fight against the conservatives who know how to pull out all the stops and do fucking everything. And he's like, oh, fuck that. Whoa. We can fight against the blues. We can primary Dems. But whoa, we won the primary? I'm fucking out of here, chief. See ya. Later, bitch. See ya. I'm out of here.
But we don't know. We don't have any information. What I do know is what I've seen thus far. And what I've seen thus far has been, great exaggerations. This might be real, though, right? This might be totally real. This might be totally valid. But in this circumstance, in the Graham Platner situation, yeah, this was the ridiculous one. This was the ridiculous one. This is, yeah, dude. This is that is totally ridiculous. Oh, they would go into like an Iraqi home or something, and yeah, that seems like a Israeli disinfo campaign.
Hasan defending private military contractors of the United States of America in the Iraq War? Now I've seen everything. That's how you know the Israel hate runs deep. The Jew hate runs deep. Holy shit. Oh my God.
That isn't, that doesn't have any legs whatsoever. You know what I mean? But if there's a more serious accusation, we'll look at it. If he does drop out, could another Democrat run? I think it's literally the reason why they're doing it. The reason why this push is coming right now, the timing of it, whether it's real, whether it's, because I don't know anything yet. Yeah, for context, that guy's previous claim to fame is pushing that Biden admin was trafficking kids from Ukraine. I know. That guy's insane. I'm not saying that allegation is insane. That one is bullshit. Politico's dropped something. We'll take
Okay.
That,
Anyway,
you know, and one
back
of
to
my
the
big role
not doomer stuff.
models is Abraham Lincoln, who did the exact same thing rhetorically that
Oh, wait, hold on. This is 4 minutes old. Politico. Platner accused of sexual assault denies allegations. A woman, a 41-year-old Maine resident named Jenny Rakakot, detailed the alleged incident to Politico in 3 interviews over the past 2 weeks. Politico also spoke with a man, Rakakot, am I pronouncing this correctly? Dated and confided in the years after the alleged incident and reviewed documents, including emails between Rakakot and her therapist, and messages between Rakakot, it's Kakarot, shut the fuck up, and an acquaintance whom she warned against getting involved with Platner years before he ran for office. Woman who dated Graham Platner says he sexually assaulted her. The Maine Democrat denies the allegation, says any accusation of sexual behavior is categorically untrue. Well, that's a lot less bad than the Iraqi child rape memes. I shouldn't say memes, but isn't this certainly this isn't the story that the New York Times didn't run with, right? Do you remember when people, wasn't somebody tweeting out like, oh, well, there was a sexual assault story, but the New York Times just chose not to run with it because, or something? Woman who dated Graham Platner says he sexually assaulted her. How long ago, too? Says he forced her to have sex with him nearly 5 years ago, despite her repeated objections. On and off relationship with Platner, who is now the Democratic Senate nominee in Maine for more than 2 years, where he entered her rural Maine home uninvited one night in late 2021, deeply intoxicated, and forced himself on her while she repeatedly told him to stop. Reichert previously described reckless and unsettling behavior by Platner to the New York Times, but says she didn't go public with the specific assault claim because she didn't want to be known as a rape victim. Said she later felt compelled to go public about her experience because the reaction to the Times story was dominated by controversy about another woman, Lindsay Fifield, who alleged Platner mistreated her and faced attacks because of her ties to the Republican Party. My part of the story was just a read-over. She said she was torn over coming forward, in part because she agrees with Platner politically. Why the fuck wouldn't you come out before the primary?
I wanted to direct.
Oh, we got the 3D, 5D audio vision. Okay. Platner and Oysterman. That night in late 2021, she said she had exchanged text messages with him and told him not to come over, saying she wasn't in the mood for company. Later that evening, she said she realized when she heard a sound down the stairs that he had let himself into her house, which was unlocked. Holy shit. Platner came up the stairs, Reichert said, to where she was on a couch. He got on top of her and kept grabbing her. She said, well, she repeatedly told him to stop and that she wasn't interested. She smelled alcohol on his breath and believed he was almost blackout drunk because Platner ignored her protest and continued to grab her. How can you be blackout drunk and make... That's a lot of progress. To get to the house, open the door, go upstairs. So she tried to separate herself from Platner by telling him she couldn't be in the room anymore, after which he followed her to her bedroom and then raped her. She said he also ejaculated inside of her, despite her telling him not to. She wasn't using birth control at the time. She went to clean herself up. When she returned, Platner had fallen asleep. Platner said he didn't remember what happened the night before. She said she told him to leave and never contact her again. She said she sent him an IG message, but she can't recover it because she deleted it all after and moved on. She also shared details about the alleged assault. The man she dated after Platner, who she began dating in 2022, the man who was granted anonymity out of concern for his personal privacy, told Politico that Rykicott had told him in bits and pieces about a bad experience with Platner before confiding the full details of what had happened in 2023. His account of what Rykicott told him about the incident matched what they told Politico. Oh, is there a way I need a pronunciation for this name? 17 years ago, same last name.
Millions of life insurance and annuity customers. What happens to them if AIG goes DOA? Let's ask the president of the American Insurance Association, who also so happens to be Montana's former very popular governor, Mark Roscoe. Governor, what do they do if you have...
Roscoe. Say the name. Okay, whatever. Let's see, and then this is... shared with Politico a series of private Facebook messages she exchanged with an acquaintance in 2023, about a year and a half after the alleged assault, and well before Platner launched his political career, in which she can caution the acquaintance about getting involved with Platner. In the messages, she said that she had ended up in a bad situation with him, describing him as consensually careless and saying he doesn't listen to you when drunk. What's his deal? Should I not fix up my friend, assuming he's single? He'd be charming and funny. He's a decently intelligent person. He's not all bad, but I ended up in a bad situation with him, and I will just politely call him consensually careless at times. When drunk, plus PTSD. I knew about the PTSD. He lies also. Base. Okay. Spoke with a friend that they had told about the alleged assault last summer, shortly after Platner launched his campaign. Well,
I wanted to directly address the troubling, serious, and false allegations against me. Any accusation of non-consensual behavior is categorically false. Over the last 10 months, I've been deeply humbled by the faith Mainers have put in me. You have welcomed me into your homes, into your places of work, into your restaurants, into your houses of worship. You have shown that a different kind of politics, one that puts the interests of people over corporations, is not just possible, but is inevitable.
Wow.
This movement we have built, the largest volunteer base in the history of Maine politics, the hundreds of thousands of grassroots donors, and the supporters across the ideological spectrum, we were united in a love of Maine, a belief that our politics must change, and a focus on defeating Susan Collins. So, regardless of the inaccuracy of the reporting, but mindful of the political reality it will inflict, we are taking the time to reflect on the best path forward for the state that I love, the people that I love.
What? Wait, hold on, what?
So, our politics must change, and a focus on defeating Susan Collins. So, regardless of the inaccuracy of the reporting, but mindful of the political reality it will inflict, we are taking the time to reflect on the best path forward for the state that I love, the people that I love, the movement I belong to, and the goal of defeating Susan Collins. Those were the goals when we launched this campaign, and they remain my goals today. On June 9th, 154,058 Mainers, the most in primary history, voted to reject
I feel like he's stepping down. I feel like he's going to be gone tomorrow. What is the day today? Monday?
a broken politics beholden to Washington and the donor class. They voted for hope, for change, to take back our economy, to take back our power, and to take back our Senate seat. Throughout it all, you never turned your back on me, and I will not turn my back on you now. Every one of you deserves to see that vision come to fruition and see Susan Collins defeated. And we will use every tool at our disposal to do so. As Maine goes, so goes the nation. As always, thank you.
Reports are coming in that there is absolutely no evidence for this, but it was Connor who sent this story to Politico. Apparently because Connor thinks Platner is too reckless. It was a Griper's wife. I feel like he's dropped out. I feel like he's already gone, and they're just figuring out how to do it. I think he's gone. Why would you stumble here if there was even a chance that you would stay in? Like, putting out that message of, even though this is false, we are considering all of our options or whatever. Like, what do you mean all of your options? You're thinking about dropping out. Why would you even say that? Uh-oh. Get your poly market bets in. Did you guys know that on Polymarket you can buy contracts? I'm not guaranteeing you that this will win, and you shouldn't try to buy this, though, to save your whole life or your fortune or whatever else. But that's a good-looking contract. I'm just kidding. I think he's staying in, but he's afraid that something worse will even drop. Well... Well, is this going to be one of those things where we like look back on it
happening
and we're like, wait, who could have ever known? The guy who lied about the Nazi tattoo for 16 years was of questionable moral character.
At it, but the timing of American imperialism,
incomprehensible.
great that he did, brother, FIFA to request.
They think 50.
Hasan didn't even react to it. What was that guy? That chatter lied.
You do not represent Paraguay. That country perception of reality feels brave. It's just something that I thought about.
Okay, don't care. It's over. He's dropping out. That, I mean, I don't know why you would ever say that. Platner planning to drop out of Maine Senate race. Well, what the fuck? This was an hour old, bro.
Footballer and Venezuelan, the wife of Venezuelan footballer Andrea Bella was found in the rubble, and she was shielding her one-year-old baby from the earthquake. The baby was found alive in her arms, correct?
It's the epitome of motherhood. She's a hero, and moms, of course, they want to.
Oh, sorry. This is a video that has fucking nothing to do with with the article. My bad. I don't know why I thought it was. My bad. My bad. Oh, yeah, Tim Miller. I'm sorry, but we are taking time to reflect on the best path forward. Is not an option on the table. Either it's false and you campaign with vigor, or it's true and you get out / apologize when you let down. Yeah, I mean, like, that's, yeah. I don't think that statement is...
We are taking the time to reflect on the best path forward. for the state that I love, the people reporting, but mindful of the political reality it will inflict.
Well. I mean, he's gone, so.
Had
what?
a checkered past, right? A lot of red flags in his background.
Oh, yeah? Really? Really?
And he was doing phenomenally well against Janet Mills, the current governor of Maine. He defeated Janet Mills thoroughly, handily. Janet Mills dropped out, as a matter of fact, when the primaries took place. And here's the thing: a lot of establishment Democrats hate this guy, right? A lot of people in the pro-Israel side hate this guy.
Does he talk about Israel that much? Maybe he does.
He had been the recipient of a lot of attacks. Many of these attacks were somewhat silly. Some of them were unsubstantiated. And the criticisms that he should have received were obviously criticisms about his background, his investment into, his numerous tours and then going back into Blackwater, things like that. Those were red flags for me.
Oh,
The
you
Nazi
think?
tattoo was a red flag for me. Those weren't red flags for the average American and certainly not the average Mainer. But then the New York Times came out with this reporting, right? The New York Times came out with this report, and they had said this is an unbelievable allegation that's about to come out. They highlighted the report as though there was a serious sexual assault allegation. And when the New York Times report came out, it turns out that was not the case, right? There was they looked at his background, they interviewed 7 of Grant Platner's former partners. Most of them actually had nothing but nice, kind words to say about him. And 2, one of the 2 said that there was one moment that she did not feel great about, and then the other was a Republican operative that said Grant Platner had done the classic like male manipulator, domestic abuser moment, the risk control, right? This article seemingly is bad. This article seemingly is different.
Is he sweeping?
No, okay. Platner's gone. 100% he's gone.
There's a
That's
political
free
article
money, by
out.
the
Now,
way.
I don't know how the New York Times missed this. I don't know how the New York Times did not
Read
get
the
this
articles. They already
information.
tell you how. But okay.
He doesn't read articles, retard.
True. My bad.
By no means am I defending
Idiot.
Platner, but American voters' cognitive dissonance about voting for rapists is frustrating, aka Trump's fine, but for Mainers, but Platner is not. It should always be a disqualifier across the board. Yes.
What?
What? Now Platner can't rape?
Political piece, I assume we'll get into it, but we'll look at it now, right? Platner also immediately, because of the severity of the allegations, it seems that they were ready for the Platner camp actually canceled a bunch of events. I think they said the wife was sick or something. I don't know. So
What's the poly market at now?
let's take a look at the
Probably 80+%.
latest Graham Platner. New York Times knew this, but the conversation was off the record. Okay. Woman who dated Graham Platner says he sexually assaulted her. The Maine Democrat denied the allegations and said any accusation of non-consensual behavior is categorically untrue. A woman who dated Maine U.S. Senate candidate Graham Platner says he forced her to have sex with him nearly 5 years ago, despite her repeated objections, an allegation Platner denies. The woman, a 41-year-old Maine resident named Jenny Rassicott, detailed the alleged incident to Politico in 3 interviews over the past 2 weeks. Politico also spoke with a man Rassicott dated and confided in the years after the alleged incident, and reviewed documents including emails between Rassicott and her therapist and messages between Rassicott and acquaintance. That is curtains. Okay. Mossad paid her ass? No. That is the
It's always
trifecta.
about Jews, by the way.
Okay. That is the trifecta of a reliable allegation. That's holy shit. Okay? Personal first-hand testimony to a friend, a close confidant, back from way before Graham Platner ever fucking ran for Congress. Are you kidding me? And then also direct testimony from a therapist. That.
Well, that's not
that
really
is
what but okay.
Very different. Very different from a Republican operative coming out and being like, oh yeah, I had a touch and go moment with Graham Platner. I wouldn't even say he like physically abused me or anything. That's very different. There is not direct testimony from a therapist. No, sorry. Emails between Rassicot and her therapist. Okay. Emails that are dated. That seems a little bit different than previous statements and previous things that were talked, previous discussions around Graham Platner's misconduct or alleged misconduct. Okay? What I don't understand is why the New York Times didn't report it, but apparently the Political article gets into that, so we'll take a look at it. So, reviewed documents including emails between Rassicot and her therapist and messages between Rassicot and an acquaintance whom she warned against getting involved with Platner years before he ran for office. Rassicot says she had an on and off relationship with Platner, who is now the Democratic Senate nominee in Maine, for more than 2 years before he entered her rural Maine home uninvited one night, in late 2021, deeply intoxicated, and forced himself on her while she repeatedly told him to stop. She said she cut off contact with him. So this is one of the two. This is... Rassicot is the other. New York Times, if you recall, interviewed 7 former girlfriends of Graham Platner. There was one that said she had a bad moment with Graham Platner. This, I think, expands on what that bad moment was with a very significant allegation. Trigger warning.
Trigger warning.
I will be reading out
doing trigger warning. Oh, he's on full progressive. Oh, he's on full progressive mode now. Okay.
She said she cut off contact with him after telling him the encounter was not consensual. I remember him grabbing my pelvis and being really forceful of me, she said. I remember the specific moment where I thought to myself, like, this is no longer my choice. Platner denied the allegations. These allegations are troubling, serious, and false. Any accusation of non-consensual behavior is categorically untrue, he said in a statement. Rassicot previously described reckless and unsettling behavior by Platner to the New York Times, but she says she didn't go public with the specific assault claim because she didn't want to be known as a rape victim. Rassicot said she later felt compelled to go public about her experience because the reaction to the Times story was dominated by controversy about another woman, Lindsay Fifield, who alleged Platner mistreated her and faced attacks because of her ties to the Republican Party. Contacted by Politico, Fifield stood by the allegations she made to the Times and declined to comment further. My part of the story was just a read-over, Rassicot said in an interview, and the story was just Lindsay and the accusations of her being politically motivated. Rassicot said she was torn over coming forward in part because she agrees with Platner politically. One of the reasons I didn't come forward sooner was the huge moral conflict that I had between supporting his
this
politics
is why I told you
but
never
not
to
supporting
endorse him
him
and
as
let
a
things
person,
play
she
out.
said.
He was an enigma,
I just want the truth
untrustworthy.
out there. I just want people to have the whole scope of who he is as a person. In a statement, the Platner campaign reiterated his denial and
This is
accused
far
his
from the
critics
nail
of
in the
trying to
coffin,
drive him out of
guys.
the race. These allegations are very serious, and Graham vigorously denies them. They are also coached and coordinated by out-of-state establishment operatives. For a year, opponents of this campaign have thrown everything they can at Graham, calling him a Nazi, a war criminal,
Why is
and a
chat
communist.
just automatically believing
None of
this?
it has been true, and this is no different. It is not a coincidence that this story comes a week before the ballot deadline, just as the previous false allegations came a week before the primary. Graham began this campaign to fight for a Maine where everyone is treated with dignity and where Mainers are put first, and no amount of desperate smears will stop this movement from seeing that vision through. What do you mean audio? What's wrong with the audio?
Shut the fuck. He's skinwalking me. He's skinwalking me right now.
Platner, an oysterman and political newcomer when he launched his Senate campaign last August, easily won the Democratic primary last month to face GOP Senator Susan Collins in one of the nation's most highly watched Senate races. His remarkable rise has been tainted by controversies including offensive online comments and allegations of past mistreatment of women. He has not previously been accused of sexual assault. So here's the thing. Okay? Here's the thing.
Here's the thing, guys.
This is a serious accusation of the highest order, and it has all of the hallmarks of a verifiable accusation. Okay? Conversations in the past, far before Graham Platner came on the scene as a political operative, is a fairly reliable way to verify these accusations. I'm sorry, it's just the truth. Okay?
I think he's gonzo, guys.
Like, as you guys know, my policy on this is, believe women doesn't mean reflexively assume that all women are incapable of telling a lie or anything. It just means, like, don't reflexively disbelieve women.
Oh,
right?
Believe all women just means don't
contemporaneous-
disbelieve
yes,
all women.
Contemporaneous communications is huge, especially if they are before he was in politics. Exactly. Central Committee is correct on this. It's a huge part of this. Okay. I assume that they will explain as to why the New York Times didn't get into this, but here's the other side of the story. Okay. I believe this accusation. I believe this allegation. Let me just make that very clear, especially because once again, there are other friends with correspondence from before Graham Platner became a known entity.
Okay.
Right? That's very important. Because
very important, guys.
You're not actively seeking to rat fuck a person if that person is not a political operative at all, right? Like, that's a random oyster fisherman.
No rat fucking here, guys.
Okay? It's a random oyster fisherman at that point in fucking Maine. The timing of this, on the other hand, is, once again, fucked up. The timing of the drop is in the column of rat fucking, but the accusations are certainly real. Okay?
I mean, she gave
Do
her
with that
explanation.
information what you will, but
up to you if you
the
believe it or not.
accusations, they are as credible as it is going to get. Okay? Unless the correspondence between Rassicot and her friend is not from back then, or the other partner that Rassicot had, which I have no reason to believe that that's the case, for the record. Okay? It still ultimately lends itself to a verifiable and credible accusation. Both the therapist and the friend refused to comment. This needs receipts.
Uh-oh.
So, let's continue.
Wait, did I not equip the parry?
Is this rat fucking if they're giving him time to drop out, I guess? Well, we'll get into that in a second. The Iraq and Afghanistan war veteran has linked some of his behavior to mental health struggles and alcohol abuse, but he says he's changed and has denied previous claims that he was abusive to women. Rassicot told Politico she connected with Platner on the dating app Bumble in 2019 and had consensual relations with him prior to the night he allegedly assaulted her. That night in late 2021, she said she had exchanged text messages with him and told him not to come over, saying she wasn't in the mood for company. Later that evening, she said she realized when he heard a sound on the stairs that he had let himself into her house, which was unlocked. Platner came up the stairs, Rassicot said, to where she was on a couch. He got on top of her, kept grabbing her, she said, while she repeatedly told him to stop and that she wasn't interested. Rassicot said she smelled of alcohol in his breath and believed he was almost blackout drunk because Platner kept ignoring her protests and continued to grab her after knocking over an antique sewing kit, spilling small needles everywhere. I'd been telling him these words, no, don't, she recalled. And the look on his face, realizing what was happening, I just realized that, like, I'm in a situation where there's no consent here, she said. Rassicot said she tried to separate herself from Platner by telling him she couldn't be in that room anymore, after which he followed her to the bedroom and had sex with her against her will. She said he also ejaculated inside of her despite her telling him not to, as she was not using birth control at the time. Oof. Oh,
Oof.
That's brutal.
That's a brutal one, man.
She went to clean herself up, she said, and when she returned, Platner had fallen asleep. She contemplated waking him up to kick him out, but worried he could hurt someone driving in the state that he was in. The following morning, she said Platner tried to put his arm around her and she pushed him away. She said she asked him whether he remembered what had happened the previous night. According to Rassicot, Platner said he didn't remember. Rassicot said she told him to leave and never contact her again. Rassicot said she waited several weeks until she got her period to ensure she wasn't pregnant, then sent Platner a private message on Instagram saying that the encounter was not consensual and she did not want to hear from him ever again. Rassicot had no further contact with him after that, she said. Rassicot said she later deleted all of her texts and social media correspondence with Platner as she tried to move on from the assault, and said she has not been able to recover the Instagram messages she sent him about the incident. In the weeks after the alleged assault, Rassicot says she considered going to the police but struggled with shock and confusion about what had happened to her and did not file a police report. Even as time passed, she said she felt uncomfortable potentially telling a police officer about such a personal experience and feared retaliation from Platner. At first, she confided only in her therapist, who she continues to see. Rassicot showed Politico recent emails with her therapist in which Rassicot explained she was talking to the media about her relationship with Platner and said the sexual assault rape using an abbreviation for sexual assault. In the message, Rassicot was not ready to go public and was seeking help corroborating her account in conversations she was having with reporters on condition of anonymity. Her therapist responded that Rassicot shouldn't have to speak publicly about a traumatic incident in order to be believed, without referencing details of any particular incident. Rassicot, the T is silent.
Hasan got insider knowledge. That's why he's believing this.
Rassicot.
It's possible that Ryan or somebody tipped him off, Ryan Grimm or whatever, maybe.
Yeah, not going to the police is perfectly normal in situations like this, for the record, just so you guys understand.
And that's why he's being so, like, understanding and charitable, maybe.
So they don't have the therapist who Politico agreed not to name at her request declined to comment when reached on Monday. So Rassicot also shared details about the alleged assault to the man she dated after Platner, who she began dating in 2022. The man, who was granted anonymity out of concern for his personal privacy, told Politico that Rassicot had told him in bits and pieces about a bad experience with Platner before confiding the full details of what happened in 2023. His account of what Rassicot told him about the incident matched what Rassicot told Politico. Okay? Rassicot shared with Politico a series of private Facebook messages she exchanged with an acquaintance in 2023, about a year and a half after the alleged assault and well before Platner launched his political career, in which she cautioned the acquaintance against getting involved with Platner. In the messages, Rassicot says she had ended up in a bad situation with him, describing Platner as a consensually careless and saying he doesn't listen to you when drunk.
Careless.
Reached out by Politico, the acquaintance said she received the messages but declined to comment. Politico granted her anonymity at a request to protect her privacy in her main community. What's his deal? Should I not fix him up with my friend, assuming he's single? He can be charming and funny, and he's a decently intelligent person, but he's not all bad. But I ended up in a bad situation with him, and I will just very politely call him consensually careless at times. When drunk, plus PTSD. I knew about the PTSD. He lies also. Forces himself on people. Wait, what? That's the cutoff? There's more. Click the arrow. Oh.
No shot.
No, this is the earlier. I saw your post about oysters the other day. I feel morally obligated to warn you if you were anything more than just friends with Graham. But if you're not, then I'll just shut up for now and give you the scoop sometime, lol. Just friends. Would love the scoop, though. Is he still engaged? I was working on fixing on a friend. Oh, I have no idea. With who? Oh, a girl. I think her name is Jen from like the Rockland area. I don't know. I haven't heard of anyone. He was as of last summer that I know of, but also my timeline's a little sketch. So maybe it was the summer before, but either way, they've been on and off. But
tell me if this gets spicy. I don't think it will, but
Ossoff is doing, saying, hey, we have these great principles in the Declaration of Independence, and look what we have done with them. You know, we've had this incredibly successful run, and yet that is being challenged in Lincoln's day by a small group of elite Southern enslavers who are trying to destroy those principles. And Ossoff is doing the same thing. And the trick to that then is not only identifying that and calling out what's going on in the United States today, but making people understand that that's the reason gas is expensive. Like, it's not that you can either have cheap eggs or you can have a democracy. They're all the same story. And that, I think, Ossoff is doing very, very well. But he is not the only one. Zoran Mamdani has been doing it incredibly well as mayor of New York. His speech about the victory of the Knicks was, I think we'll be teaching that speech in years to come. It's only 8 minutes long and was just absolutely beautifully done. But you're also seeing it among a lot of Western figures. Jason Crow in Colorado, Rob Sands and Josh Turek in Iowa, certainly Tina Smith in Minnesota. This idea that we're really reclaiming American democracy and taking strength from it to combat those who would destroy it in our era. I think that's the story of this moment.
Yeah, I agree. I want to get into voters because I could talk about this with you for a long time, but let's get into the voters and then we can circle back and talk more about this. But like I said at the top, the Trump administration is really complicating a lot of people's relationship with patriotism and America at the moment. So I want to start with some of the Democrats who feel downright ashamed of the country right now.
I was in Canada a few weeks ago and I was like, please don't let I don't want to be identified as an American because I just think I'm just so ashamed of our behavior as a country and the hatred and just vitriol towards our neighbors.
I think before this last election, I still had a lot of hope that there were a lot of Americans who maybe just didn't have the privilege to take the time to educate themselves. And now watching the things that Trump is doing and his cronies and the fact that anyone still supports that has given me a complete existential crisis with who I thought Americans were and what we stood for.
I'm embarrassed to go to other countries for trips or to talk to other people from other countries because our country is run by a dictator that all he does is crime.
My family's from Jamaica. That's everybody's favorite place to go for vacation, right? But actually living in Jamaica, seeing what it's like to actually deal with life as a Jamaican, a lot of people, not just from Jamaica, from the West Indies, from around the world, an American citizenship is old, and it still is to this day. So from that perspective, I do take that seriously. At the same time, my reason for not being proud to be an American right now, I think, is because it's not really about...
Wait, is that true? Pisco is deleting his endorsements of Platner. Rip.
the president. It's more so I do think that Americans don't realize how privileged they are.
I feel like I've been ashamed to be an American since I was maybe in college. I backpacked through Europe during, the Iraqi war and Afghanistan conflict. And, I really got a worldview at that time as like a 22-year-old kind of lesson, from people I met from around the world. It really kind of shaped my thinking. It's horrible what is done to people, in this country every day. But it's been like that pre-Trump. It's just magnified now. And, it's like, that's why I'm always going to vote for change.
Especially like with the 4th of July coming up and the 250th anniversary, it's going to be a struggle for me, especially because my entire family, my closest friends are all the opposite of me. And so it's like my husband and I kind of are the outsiders trying to decide what we can and can't say without causing a battle. It frustrates me, like we go to a concert and all of a sudden the last song is Proud to be an American, and everybody stands up and, puts their heart on their hand on their heart. And my husband and I are looking at each other saying, we just can't do it in today's environment, just not feeling it.
A lot of times when I was growing up, it was kind of just like,
Platner was my man's too when he won his endorsement.
Uh-oh.
He's still my man's right now until he drops out.
True.
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, like it's the 4th of July, you have to put on like red, white, and blue, and you have to go to a parade. But now I'm like, I'm not putting on red, white, and blue. I just don't feel like I can do it and mean it in any sense.
This is the bummer part of of listening to the voters. And I got to say, as somebody who also grew up, I also grew up in a small rural town like you did, but I was in central Pennsylvania.
I know, because I read your book.
That's right. But you know what? Somebody did sing Proud to be an American at every fair. And there were at the town fireworks that the fire department would put on that you get really bummed out if you couldn't go because it was raining. And I grew up with a very firm sense of America being good, just based on where I grew up. I grew up around, and granted, it is deep Trump country now. And it had always voted Republican, but now it is, even the numbers of voters have really climbed in the Trump era. I think one of the reasons I was never attracted to the Democratic Party as a young person is I felt like they didn't like America as much as I did, or as much as I wanted people to like America. I always was like, look at how great America is. And I still feel that way, except I totally am with these guys that I have been in no mood to celebrate America's 250. None. I'm the audience for the 250, and I cannot feel what I want to feel about the country right now. And I guess, what do you think the difference is between sort of patriotism and being proud of the country? Are those different things? Are those the same things? Because I would still say I'm pretty patriotic while not feeling particularly proud of the country at the moment. And I'll just say this last thing, which is I think America electing Trump a second time did real psychological damage to people who thought,
oh yeah,
maybe even a little bit. I knew this could happen, but I really hoped there was enough in there to keep this from happening again. And the fact that Trump was elected a second time after trying to overturn an election, I do think it's cratered people's sense of who we are, at least at the moment.
I think I'm a little bit further along that spectrum than you are, in the sense that, when the Obama Presidential Center opened a week or so ago, I don't know when it was, I read somebody saying, how could the same country that elected this man elect Donald Trump twice? And my first reaction was, well, the same country didn't, in the sense that when you think of the way that voting has gone in the United States, certainly really since the 1980s, but 1988 in the arrival of talk radio, and then 1996 in the arrival of Fox News Channel, we have created a population that is not operating in the real world. And so when I think about this country, I think about that larger problem with the fact that we are no longer based in reality for a significant number of the people who live here. And that's one of the things that you and I are combating. That's why we're here and why we do what we do, at least in part. But in terms of patriotism in this moment, one of the real changes we've seen since the 1980s, I think, is that people have ceased to believe that it's their government, that they have become subjects in a sense rather than citizens. And the reason that I'm actually quite excited about the 250th this year and feeling quite patriotic about it is because Americans are rediscovering that. We never had a perfect past and we've never had a perfect present. What we have had is moments of time when people put skin in the game and said, I don't like the laws about voting, so I'm going to change them, or I don't like the laws about taxes, so I'm going to change them, or I don't like the way we're dealing with foreign affairs, so I'm going to change that. And I think you're seeing that again now in a big way. But part of rethinking what it means to be proud to be an American and what patriotism means is refocusing not on the idea that, America's always great, because here's a newsflash. America has always, in every single year that it has existed, been great and done great things. And America has always, in every single year it existed, been awful and done horrible things, in the sense that, our government reflects people, and people are going to people. They're both good and bad. The trick for us as a country is to make sure we establish the guardrails and the mechanics of a government that is good more than it is bad. And if we remember that, and remember that the real heart of America is, like Ossoff said, that commitment to a set of principles, then we can work around the bad stuff and work to make a better country. And I look around me and I see, in a way that I have not seen in my lifetime, my really conscious lifetime, American people stepping back up to the plate. And that is how you change the direction of a country, I think. And so I actually feel quite good about it. I was actually, before we talked, I was actually pulling out, not just my flag, but all the sort of flag accoutrements that have accumulated as gifts over the years that I've never flown before or never put out before. And this year I will.
You're inspiring me, because I know you're right. It is so much of it. And again, this is the thesis of my book in a lot of ways, which is, yes, people have light and dark in them, and leadership can make a huge difference in terms of what is pulled out of us. And we do, I think that's the trouble with Trump, right? Is it feels like he's pulling the worst instincts of people out. He's taking all the bad stuff and he's shining a spotlight on that. And the question is, this is what I liked about what Ossoff was doing, is to say, no, let's shine a light on the good parts. Let me try to bring out the best in us, because I do think that is the hunger that Americans have right now. Like, they do still love their country and what it stands for, but they just understand that it is coming nowhere close to meeting its aspirations as stated, and that can get sort of soul crushing, because what you want to be is moving forward. But you're so right. You always hit on this point, and I always appreciate it when you do, that the best way for Americans to rediscover their love for America is to participate in making America the thing that you want it to be.
Yes, and I think that one of the things that really jumps out in this moment is that doesn't only mean getting involved in politics, although of course it means getting involved in politics.
Really?
And I'm always excited when I hear people say, well, I ran for the school board, I'm on the school board now, I'm volunteering in this sort of an organization, that sort of an organization. But I was talking to a woman, I guess about a year ago now, who said, I started getting involved in this group in my town, and it was involved in some kind of social reform, and I don't know what. And she said, and I realized that I really needed to know more than I did, and that if I was really going to make a difference, I needed to be a lawyer. So I've gone back to law school. And that sort of sense that you are contributing to your community, and that your community is pushing you to be a bigger person and possibly a better person than you were before, that's the kind of mentality that I think a great leader can bring out. And the comparison I would make to something like Ossoff, and I'm always careful about doing this because I don't want people to say, oh, she says Ossoff or somebody is like some great hero in the past. But, when Abraham Lincoln was trying to convince people to stand against those elite enslavers who were completely advocating for the idea that Black Americans should never have rights in the United States, and it was a deeply racist country. America was a deeply racist country then. The thing is that Lincoln would go to these audiences that were full of people heckling him, and he would say, he would sort of in good humor sort of push back on them, their comments about how he just wanted a black wife or whatever. And he would say, either we believe that people are equal or we don't. And if we don't, it's only a question of time until you're not going to be equal either. But if you believe that, let's tear up the Declaration of Independence. Let's go to the statute books where it's written, and because in the frontispiece of them, it's not itself a law, and tear it out. Do you want to do that? And when forced to recognize that the positions they were taking were actually against the principles of the country, we actually have speeches where the people recording those speeches have the audience yelling, no, don't do it. And that ability to remind people of what the United States of America is supposed to be, that's what our leaders should be doing now. And a number of them are. Ossoff's not the only one. When that happens, as you say, they call us to our better nature.
Let's keep going here. There were a lot of folks in these groups who were sort of higher on America as a long-term proposition, but are deeply conflicted about this moment. Let's listen.
I still have hope that this is not forever and that people who did vote for this, like a large portion, are like, oh, okay, like finally coming around.
I feel like this is absolutely a dark chapter, but I like to think of it as just a chapter, and that,
You should essentially ban every single person who posts positively about Kyle or anyone who supported Platner in your subreddit chats. Wait, what? Why, bro? Well, I mean, like, I supported him as the nominee. I mean, I would still support him as the nominee for
The
over
oyster farmer?
Yeah, over the Republican. But I mean, what do you want me to say?
the ideals of our country are, still there in the background, and that we will get back to that.
I'm embarrassed that there are people that don't believe in news and science and education, but I have hope. And when I show up to protest, and when I see the amount of people that are fighting for democracy and our freedoms and change, the hope is where I'm at with it, because I know it's just a small group of people that are not feeling this way. But what I'm really embarrassed about is the government portion, not necessarily the common man. It's the government that has put us in a position of pitting against each other, which has been going on forever and a day, like even, Roman times. It's a proven method of dividing and conquering, and power and rich and money. But most people still feel that it's worth the fight for democracy, to save democracy.
When you see the things that were happening in Minneapolis with ICE, that does not make me proud. And I think that, when you go to perhaps other countries and they know you're from the United States, that's a reflection of you being from the United States. And I'm not proud of that. I'm also not going to let Donald Trump live in my head and negate all of the things that I think have been really great about our country.
The term American's been co-opted. The flag's been co-opted. It's disgusting what we're seeing. Mm-hmm. However, while the country's always had problems and the system's not the greatest, I think, it's up to us. It's up to voters.
I think I could go back to being proud to be an American, but that doesn't mean I have to be proud to be one at the moment. I think the way that we've alienated so many of our allies and our behavior towards, thinking, oh, we're going to take Greenland and then we're going to take Cuba and, this is next. And none of that makes me proud. I would just as soon not be associated with this country now, but that's not a permanent thing. At least I hope it's not.
I feel like we all go through like a phase, whether it's a point in our maturity or a point in our lives, where we kind of look at America and we're like, oh, we're the bad guys. And maybe we have some times in our lives where we're like, oh, we're the good guys, or we're not doing that great, or we're the bad guys. I feel like all of us here might agree that we're kind of in that phase now as a nation of we feel like we're the bad guys and we're making all these mistakes and harming communities inside and outside of our country. There's been different like periods where we felt good or bad about it. And I think a lot of where that comes from, for me at least, is we're proud to be an American because the promises that we're told in history class or through the Bill of Rights or Declaration of Independence and through the promises that our nation is providing to us. But when that's juxtaposed against the reality of the situation, that patriotism fades away once we kind of see the fuller picture of it.
I just think these Americans really highlight to me something I hear all the time. You can hear this sense of, no, I believe in America and this thing we're doing. I'm just so frustrated with where we are now. But I also believe we can get through it. And I don't know about you, but when you go out and you talk to your readers or you get emails from your readers, do they say the phrase to you, you help keep me sane?
Constantly, right? That's
the one we get the most. And there's something interesting in that. It's one, there's something about the world right now that feels like it's been turned upside down for people, right? They feel like their understanding of who we are as a country and what our values were has been turned upside down. And they feel like somebody's up there saying, the sky is purple. And we're like, no, it's blue. It's blue. And they're like, thank God somebody still thinks it's blue. And they also see the same things that I do. And I think that people come to us because they are trying to feel like both a sense of tell me that what I'm seeing isn't crazy, and also maybe tell me it's going to be okay, or help us formulate a plan to get out of this. And so what is your advice to people for staying sane as we claw our way through this particular moment?
Well, I think we just talked about it. Find your people.
True.
And find something to do so that you feel as if you're contributing to the survival of democracy. But remember that democracy is the system of government that is a deeply human enterprise, and that is people's ability to determine their own futures, whatever that looks like to you. So to the degree you are helping other people learn to read or make it through the end of their life or get their grocery shopping done, that too is part of contributing to a community that is going to create this kind of a government. So what I say to people is stay involved in politics to whatever degree you can, but it's okay to garden. It's okay to find people, to build community. That's actually, all of it is actually working to build a stronger democracy.
Yeah, and I also think the extent to which you could fight back against the soul sickness of now, and like people finding things in people to love and that make you reinvest and love the country can be a big part of that. But one thing that I look to you for is there's kind of nothing new under the sun. Like what I love about history, and I have a renewed appreciation for history, in some ways because of you being able to sort of bring to us in these moments to say, hey, not only have we been in places, dark places before as a country, but here's how we got through them. That has been deeply helpful for me to be like, okay, humans are going to human. You said this earlier. And we just have an obligation to fight through this. And we can look to history to say, we've been in some really dark places before and we've gotten through it and found better outcomes. And so that just gives me a lot of hope. That is what you do with history, right? I mean, I don't want to put words into your mouth, but
professionally, I study the importance of ideas in changing society. Other historians study other things, but what really always jumps out to me, especially in hard times, is that nobody knows what tomorrow is going to bring. When people say to me, "That's it, it's all over, we're done,"
What's tomorrow bringing then?
How do you know
Whatever
that?
I
We don't
say
know
it will.
what tomorrow is going to bring, and there's
We
so many
predict
game
everything
changers out there.
perfectly.
When you look, for example, at the Iran War
Well,
that Trump
it's gonna
declared,
be
and we could go
Platner
into great
being not on
detail
the race
against,
anymore.
about what happened there. It seems to me, again, I can't see the future, but it seems to me that there's very little that anybody could have done to turn the world more quickly toward renewable energy than have Trump invade Iran and lose the Strait of Hormuz. And that was a twist I didn't see coming. So I think about the people who, in times that looked really, really dark, stepped forward and said, listen, I'm putting everything on the line here, whether
It's
it
always
was
darkest before the
my
dawn.
husband's people
True.
who volunteered for the Civil War in summer of 1862, which was virtually a death sentence. One of them didn't come home. Or people like my mother signing up to fight World War II in 1943. You didn't know it was coming, but they were willing to put their skin in the game to make sure it came out the right way. And of course, that's exactly what the founders did with the Declaration of Independence, saying, we're going to give this a try, and we really hope it works out. It's an extraordinary leap of faith, but it's those leaps of faith that have actually expanded American democracy through people like Fannie Lou Hamer, for example. And I will say that when you look back at the past, and it always, as I said, it always looks better when you look backward. If you were living through the second civil rights movement, what you saw in the news and what you internalized was Bull Connor ordering the fire hoses turned on children. And you saw the bombings and so on. But when people think about the civil rights movement now, they don't think about Bull Connor so much as they think about Ralph Abernathy or Dr. King or Amelia Boynton or some of the leaders of the movement who made things turn out right. So I think people tend to forget just how fraught it is to try and move that democratic ball forward. One of the things that I always think about, and this is a weird leap, but I was writing a piece once on the Great Crash of 29. And I'm like, I don't want to write about the crash. Everybody writes about the crash. And I thought, I'll write about the night before the crash, the way people were living the night before the crash. And I knew that the economy was completely unstable and that it was all going to be going, but I wanted to see what they did the night before. And the New York Times was all about, it was the opening of the opera. And so people are in their fancy clothes and they're covering the opera and, everything is glitzy and beautiful. It's the great miracle, right? This economy is booming and it's great. And there's a little tiny article in the New York Times about a man who died by suicide that night because his business had failed and he couldn't deal with the fact he was a failure and so on and so forth. And it has always stuck with me because even when I read it, I was like, no, wait one more day and you will see that you are not alone and you can be part of the rebuilding. And I always think about that when people say that's it, it's over. And I'm like,
it was the Great
just gotta hang on
Depression.
one more day because you don't know what's going to happen in that next day.
that's so interesting. The cynical part of me is like, or at least you would have had company in your misery.
Well, the way the article was written, it did suggest that he felt he was a business failure, and even having company in that might have made a real difference in his life.
I agree. Yeah, that's right. Well, that's what they say, right? Misery loves company. I want to pivot to a more hopeful note because even when these voters were conflicted, people in the focus groups absolutely had a degree of pride in America, even if it didn't take the form that a lot of our usual 4th of July celebrations take. Let's listen.
The thing I'm proud about is that when my parents came in 1976 to the United States, there was...
What?
The Discord stream ended.
Why? What happened?
I don't know.
Discord glitched. That's your fault.
Proud about is that when my parents came in 1976 to the United States, there was very few people of color, mostly white in Boise, Idaho, where I grew up. And my father built a life and he was a professor at the university and rose through administration. And to think that even given that time, that was something he could do, and that was people would accept, because that was, an environment that's primarily Caucasian, very limited minorities, and for him to be able to do that. So I'm proud of at that time that happened.
The only thing I can say that I am proud of is with technology, there seems to be, there's less of forgetting the stories from like America's history that aren't good. So like the movement bombing and that happened in Philadelphia in 1985. Like I feel like there's been more education on that in the past couple of years because of technology. I actually had like a post that went viral on Threads posting about it. The learning about the history of gynecology and how that progressed and how like Black women were tested on for it is something that, was talked about when I was younger, and it seemed kind of like a myth, and now it's more spread and more like put out there. So I feel like I'm proud of the fact that we aren't forgetting the stories, whether they're good or bad.
I was raised by my great-great-great-grandmother. She was born in 1898. She was 80 years old when I was born. She is literally one generation from slavery. Literally, her mother was a slave. She was a sharecropper. My great-uncle was on the balcony when Dr. King was shot. He marched with him himself. So I have a very complicated relationship with how I'm proud of America. I I can't say that I am proud of America because of the perspective and the family history that I have and the things that I know, and that I was taught and I saw firsthand as a child. So I'll say this: I'm proud that I can do certain things,
I'm proud to be.
but I'm more
Really,
proud of the
Mooten?
stuff
You think
that I
that's
came
appropriate
from
right now?
to fight for me to do those things.
She was a slave
There's definitely a
descendant.
lot of different movements and things that are mainly from the people in the U.S. that I have been proud of, especially like the queer movement. And I think, the push for authenticity and the pushes for freedom, like the women's suffrage movement. I used to be super proud of our like scientific community in America, and it's still pushing out good things. Like we have the COVID vaccines and stuff, but definitely like this administration has negatively affected that a lot, and the whole economy has too. But like when Obama was in office, I felt so proud of being American. Like we were pushing for more environmentally friendly things. We're pushing for things to protect our environment. We were pushing Obamacare. It was super, it wasn't perfect, but like when Obamacare came out, like that was something that took a lot of my stress levels away at the time, and definitely, was something in the right direction.
So when we asked this, well, what does make you proud? The stories were so long that we'd only include a few of them here because people really talked a lot. And even the one that you could hear, although I got to tell you ready for this? We cut this part of the clip just for time, but the woman who was talking about her being raised by her great-great-grandmother, and she says, my great uncle is Ralph D.
Why don't we do focus groups?
Yeah.
Good question. We should walk around and ask people questions.
Abernathy. Do you all know who that is? For those that don't know, he was Dr. King's right-hand man.
Wait, people are saying Ryan Grimm is tweeting some crazy shit right now? Wait, give me some vote blue no matter who tweets. I need one from Kyle Kalinske about Platner.
Because I would vote for Platner right now. But would Kyle? At least our guy doesn't do it to children.
True.
Thank God it wasn't an Iraqi child.
Okay, I need one more lefty person tweeting. I need 4.
Should be a campaign manager? Yeah, I'd go on. I'd be like, well,
Who do I
could
have?
be worse.
Got Kyle Kalinske, Emma Vigilant, and a Pisco one. I don't need more Kyle ones. I need one more lefty.
Is Pisco a lefty?
No, but he virtue signals over that vote blue no matter who thing.
So we're just gonna bully him, huh?
Yep.
Base.
It can't be a random vote blue no matter who thing. It needs to be responsive to like a Platner tweet or a Platner story or something, guys.
Hasan? I think he
If
did
he has one, but it's got to be responsive to Platner, not just a random vote blue no matter who thing. Oh, this mic from PA1 is good. Okay. We're just gonna be fucking falling with the Balrog.
Yeah, the Balrog.
Yeah, on our way down. But it's not gonna be like Gandalf fighting the Balrog. The Balrog is gonna be Trump, and then it's just gonna be 2 Gandalfs beating each other over the head with their own staves, screaming, "Vote blue, no matter who," as we all make our way to hell.
Gandalf's, or sorry, the Balrog's still on the fucking bridge.
Maybe, yeah. Actually, that's the real name.
So that's who that woman was that was talking.
I marked that. You sent me the clips to read, and that really jumped out to me what she said, because to me that's America. It's people working to make things better. And that one of the things that I think when I talked about the loss of agency is it feels to me like a lot of what we have done, certainly in the modern day curriculum, that the radical right is trying.
Whoa, what? Hasan goes on a completely unprompted schizo rant about DGG.
No way.
You're taking the time to reflect on the best path
Uh-oh.
forward for the state that I love, the people.
Come on, bro.
I love when, you know what's funny? I love when people go, hey, this ginormous incident with significant accusations of sexual assault took place that's shaking up national.
Is he about... I already know what he's doing. He's like, I like how when there's like a serious thing that comes out about my candidate, the only fucking thing that the fucking other guys, the fucking libs can do is they're fucking happy. They're happy there's a fucking rape. They're happy that a woman suffered. I can't fucking believe you guys would celebrate this fucking moment. I'm just kidding. Maybe he won't do that at all. Sorry. And I just humiliated myself if I did that.
News. How can I make this about my least favorite Twitch streamer?
Oh, never mind. There it is. He's mad.
Are you okay? How are you any different than the fucking weirdo Epstein fans who literally saw October?
What? You have to admit, all right, he is hella pressed, okay? You've been talking about the Epstein ring a lot, all right? We're in danger. We're having membership problems. People aren't even signing up to the Epstein Island flights, okay? We've had to cancel some of them because of how much pressure he's putting on us.
7.
No.
And then watched as Israel started bombing Gaza, immediately killing more people than October 7, and went to work to be like, this is our opportunity to make sure that we compile every single thing that Hasan says. So we
he's so mad about my tweet. Oh, I'm saving.
Scared.
From now on, every time I got a little folder on my desktop so I know exactly which clips so anytime I see one of his little sycophantic fuck pieces of shit tweeting some crazy weirdo shit about me, I got fucking videos just ready to go. Oh, what? I did this? Oh, what about this and this and this and this and this? Woohoo!
We can make this a national story later down the line. If you see, incidents taking place of national consequence and your first thought is, how do I make this about a fucking Twitch streamer? You're not going to make it. Shut the fuck up.
We're living rent free right now.
Oh, yeah. On a platform I'm banned from, so we're still getting access. Hell yeah. Yeah, boy.
You need help.
You okay?
I'm good.
I don't know how I feel about that laugh.
The movement
scheming.
I belong to, and the goal of defeating Susan Collins. Those were the goals when we launched this campaign, and they remain my goals today. On June 9th, 154,058 Mainers, the most in primary history, voted to reject a broken politics beholden to Washington and the donor class. They voted for hope, for change, to take back our economy, to take back our power.
We're not making it about our least favorite Twitch streamer. We're asking for some accountability since you absolutely give positive coverage to this guy after knowing what he did in the Middle East.
Excuse me. Did you not get the memo, bro? Did you not get the memo, chatter? We support anybody that we view as being aligned against the Dems. I don't give a fuck about killing some Middle Easterners. Why the fuck would a man who supports Hezbollah and the Houthis, why would he give a fuck about some dead Arabs? The man is Turkish, okay? Nobody loves dead Arabs more than Turks. Are you crazy, motherfucker? This guy doesn't care. Come on.
You're supposed to be on our side, but you run cover for people you know are war criminals, even though sexual assault is where you draw the line.
Oh, Chatter just doesn't get it, guys. He doesn't get it, man. I just want to give you guys health care. Take my health care.
I'm gonna move on from this.
Hasan is literally the guy at the end of he's got the cure for all of the working class idiots in his chat, and they're too stupid to understand. And now he just has to, we're just waiting for the end. I can help you guys, but not that I won't want anything bad to happen, but.
Okay, please shut the fuck up. Please.
Please. And to take back our Senate seat. Throughout it all, you never turned your back on me. And I will not turn my back on you now. Every one of you deserves to see that vision come to fruition and see Susan Collins defeated.
Wait, who's Balogan? Is that a Belgium player or a U.S. player?
It's a U.S. guy. Trump undid his red card.
Fuck, where's
Did
the
you
meme?
tweet?
Yeah, where's the meme of the guy holding up the card and it's got Trump's face on it? Oh, never mind, found it.
Oh, didn't I send it to you?
Too late. You probably did.
I only send good memes. Don't forget. Oh, you got him. You tweeted at him.
And we will use.
Guys, are we all? Are
every
we?
tool at our
Are we mobilized? Are we retweeting? Help him.
Wait, who are we tweeting at?
You. Boost.
Wait, for the one I just tweeted? Oh, that's fine. The one before was a better meme. Okay.
To do so. As Maine goes, so goes the nation.
Laura Loomer's on this underage girls on Kick thing. She keeps tweeting this out. She's been tweeting about it for 3 days. Uh-oh.
Underage girls on Kick?
Kick, K-I-K.
Oh, K. He's feeling stressed.
Genuinely, he's saying that Platner's entire defense of this is just nuh-uh. He's saying that there were a coordinated smear campaign and coaching, but if that was the case, he put that shit on the limelight yesterday, instead nothing. Yeah. Does your community seriously believe that being in the military means automatically you're a war criminal? No. But there are some.
Really?
In my community that does, definitely.
Now?
There are definitely people on the left who automatically go, "Oh, you touched a machine gun. You were in the American military."
What was the what did Hasan say again, Mooten? Can you remind me? What did he say about Kamala Harris recently? What did he say about her?
Oh, she'd be the 1-to-1, the same as Donald Trump?
No.
Or that she belonged in The Hague?
Yeah, that she should turn herself into the Hague for being the vice
that's what it
president,
is.
by the way. Vice president.
The American military is an imperialist force. You have done war crimes. It's understandable why people arrive at that conclusion, for the record, because many who do active duty combat, who see active duty combat, engage in things like that.
Oh, things like that. Many of them do.
Do you think
My
you could name
scrutiny
one?
of this, of Graham Platner's background, came from his
But
four
not
tours
Hamas,
plus
no.
Blackwater, but
No.
it wasn't enough for me to say, like,
Absolutely
you know,
This is the funniest sentence in the universe. Okay, Blackwater, sure. But, okay, Blackwater, maybe. Well, a little bit of a red flag. Bro, for any other person, oh my God.
Of Graham Platner's background came from his 4 tours plus Blackwater, but it wasn't enough for me to say, like, you know,
Oh
this is
my God.
I'm pulling out of this.
He would be making so many jokes. Like killing Middle Arabs wasn't enough 3 times. You had to go back a 4th time. And you were so hungry for blood, you had to go private contractor afterwards. Like, he would be saying so much if this guy wasn't on his team. It's actually crazy, bro.
We gotta take notes.
Didn't this guy, give me the video. 10-minute ads. If he really was this guy attacking Pete Buttigieg for his military service? Like, Jesus Christ, bro.
Was he?
You know, I wanted to,
Or just Pete being gay.
and made the effort to try
that's a good
to interview him specifically on that, and never got the opportunity to do so.
You want to interview him now, buddy? But he's available.
For the record.
Do you think
They
watching
were-
Hasan go super soft here is making any of his casual audience falter? Oh, yeah, a little bit. Yeah, of course. That's why there are people that are kind of fighting. And he didn't ban that one guy because he knows his chat's going to have a hard time with this. Because there's like, remember, the way that he brings in his ideology is like subversively. So he tries to sneak it in on the back of like progressive shit. But at times, when there's a confliction between his like Marxist-Leninist or Stalinist beliefs and then the progressive ones, he goes with the ML beliefs. But that's like pretty hard for most of his audience. My guess is like 80 to 90% of his audience are solidly just progressives, super progressives, like bordering like socialist curious, but not full on the Marxist-Leninist authoritarian commie shit. So whenever he goes like into these takes, it becomes very, very hard, I imagine, for a lot of his audience to come along. Yeah.
I'm getting fucking dominated in the bot lane right now.
Or very dodgy about they were initially interested, but then when I offered my scrutiny very publicly, the campaign was somewhat dodgy about it.
Wait, what? Hold on. Sorry, what did he say?
They were very dodgy about. They were initially interested, but then when I offered my scrutiny, very plus Blackwater, but it wasn't enough for me to say like, this is I'm pulling out of this. I wanted to and made the effort to try to interview him specifically on that and never got the opportunity to do so.
Is there any video footage at all of Hasan being super critical of Platner's military history? I'm very curious about that, but